It's episode 7, Toddcast. Hello, hello, hello.
I've got a present for you.
What?
You ready? Check this out.
7. I love it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7.
All right. So here's
All right.
Like, I realized it was Sesame Street, but whoever created that, first of all, genius. Also, completely on some sort of drugs.
Without a doubt.
Sure.
Without a doubt. Was it Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Or why did I think it was Zoom for some reason? Do you remember Zoom?
Yeah, but I never watched it because it wasn't Sesame Street.
No, and I watched The Electric Company too. Did you watch that?
I never did, but I'm like totally into their theme. I love the theme for The Electric Company.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was a little far out there. It wasn't quite as elementary and simple as Sesame Street was. It was kind of a little far out, and I loved
like
it.
Preteen kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I grew up on Sesame Street, all of that stuff. I mean, if you're our age, you're older than me though, but if you're our age, you remember that stuff. It takes me back. So thank you for that. I loved it.
You're welcome.
Well, we have a busy episode because we're going to do Twisted Towns this week, our installment of towns that may seem beautiful and sweet and idyllic on the outside, but have kind of a weird history once you dig into it.
Listen, all little towns do. And again, where this kind of came from in my mind was we were on our way to a paranormal investigation. And when you're driving like it was 4 hours away, and you drive through all these little towns, and as you drive in, there's usually like a placard of all these community groups like the Lions and the Kiwanis and all that stuff. And it says, so-and-soville welcomes you, home of the Fireman's Picnic on August 16th. Right. And they promote all this stuff, their little Chamber of Commerce websites. We've got the Daffodil Festival and the St. John's Church and all that kind of stuff. And I when you go through these places, whether it's instinct, whether it's being an empath, or you just have this imagination, you just know there's stuff that happened behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Without
stuff
a doubt.
That nobody wants to talk about. And so Twisted Towns was kind of born from that, like, let's tell the dark stories of these cities,
And I love it. I love the idea of that because you know that every town has something in its closet that they don't like to talk about.
Like every family too. Like I think a great podcast would be like family horror stories. And tell their stories about how Aunt Janine would come to Thanksgiving, but she was drunk all the time. And everybody knew that she was doing the town medicine man and all just stuff like that. Would be really cool. Yeah, we should.
I think that's a great idea. If anybody wants to send anything into us, you can go to our Facebook page, the Sandy and Toddcast, or send us an email, sillygirl, SILLYGYRL9990 @yahoo.com. And let us know what your story is, and maybe you can join us and tell your story. I think that would be great.
You know what we got to do? We got to create a Sandy and Toddcast @gmail.com account, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we'll get that up. That'll be so much easier than me having to spell out that weird email. I've had that email for 20 years.
So I have a personal one, which I'm not going to give out on the air, but I've had it since 96. So how many years is that?
A lot.
Almost
like 25 years. Yeah, I've had mine a long time too. Mine comes from, you'd never guess where mine came from. I used to be into a lot of punk and ska music, and there was a group called the Descendants, and they did a song called Silly Girl. And someone that I used to kind of sort of date, I don't know, he told me that song reminded him of me. And so it just kind of stuck. And I've had that for probably a good 20 years or so. So there you go.
Well, listen.
What?
Well, I'm just kind of blown away that you like that kind of music. That's not what I
really?
would have guessed.
You didn't think that? I like everything. There's nothing.
Well, sure.
Maybe even gangster rap, but I was really into punk music. One of my favorite memories, we always get off course, but one of my favorite memories was at Lollapalooza in 97, I want to say. I got to see the Ramones on stage, and that was pretty amazing. That was one of my highlights.
Life-changing, don't you think? It's kind of life-changing.
Well, you know what was really weird about Lollapalooza was that there were so many amazing major acts. I mean, that was the year that Metallica, Soundgarden played. You know, they had the Shaolin Monks, which was hilarious. But bands like Rancid and Psychotica and Ben Folds 5. Ben Folds 5 was just starting out back then. And I remember distinctly laying on the ground. It was about 11 o'clock at night in the New York State Fairgrounds, listening to Metallica play on stage. And just being we weren't banging our heads. We were so tired from a whole day, but it was the coolest thing to be able to lay on a blanket and just hang out and watch Metallica play on stage.
So here's the thing. I would never do that because crowds, right? So crowds, and I don't know if it's social anxiety or if it's the empath thing or whatever. Working in radio, you get a chance to go to so many concerts and stuff. It was the thing I hated the most. I don't care. I don't want to. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I will travel getting there. I don't like getting the tickets. I don't like standing next to somebody. I will tell you a little secret
that I've never been a big concert person, but being fortunate over the years to work in radio, we used to get a lot of opportunities, and until COVID, we had a lot of opportunities to meet these artists. And that was something I always really enjoyed doing. I loved meeting them. I loved getting pictures taken with them. And so that was sort of like a hobby. And so I met amazing artists. I met so many wonderful artists over the years. And that was more important to me than actually going to the concert. There were many times when we would just go meet the artists and stay for a little while, and then we'd take off. Because again, empath, there was no way I was going to make it through an entire show.
Right. But empath, you're standing there next to the artist who you know is thinking, Jesus Christ, let me get fucking through this. Because
you don't realize how true that is, because I used to be able to pick on, I used to be able to pick up on that. I could tell the difference between an artist who genuinely was good with that kind of thing from an artist who just was doing it because they had to do it. Yeah. I could tell the difference. And it was really funny. I found a lot of them. One of my favorites was Dan and Shay.
Yeah.
I brought them one of my t-shirts, my radio personality t-shirts, and they had such a blast with it. It was so much fun. They're genuinely nice guys. They're excited, grateful, happy to be where they are. And they genuinely are great guys. That was one of my favorites. So
I don't like them. So we'll just pass that. But I've got my own country story. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody I do like, and I like her husband too, Trisha Yearwood and Garth Brooks are two of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And I think they're genuine. I think they're really, really genuine. I think they're really, really thankful. And not that long ago, Trisha had a new album come out, and she went on this little tour in her own hometown to promote it. And the little hometown is close to a radio station that I do some work for in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And so we got to go, except I don't live in Georgia. So I live in Wisconsin, and I couldn't go see Trisha Yearwood. So they got this for me. Now listen to this. I love this so much. Listen, here it goes.
Hi, Todd Michaels. Why aren't you here? That's what I want to know is Trisha Yearwood. I saved you a seat. I've got you a CD. I don't know where you are. I've got a glass of sweet tea sitting here for you. I mean, where are you?
I want to marry her right now.
I love that. Oh my God. So I wish everybody could see my face during this. We're on Zoom, by the way. I wish everybody could see my face. That was wonderful. I love that.
So now I'm like a big fan. And I like her cooking show too. So I watch it and I dream about being her husband.
Like I love Trisha Yearwood. I love
Garth. And they had a great Christmas special. I'll just go on about that. But I have this fantasy where Garth, gets a horrible disease and dies.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. I don't. But I really, really like her, and I like him too. They're genuine people.
I found that a lot of the country artists tend to be genuine. Not all of the other genre artists are as genuine as some of the ones. It's been kind of an interesting journey to be able to pick up on the energy of some of these people, because they do go through a lot. They do deal with a lot on a daily basis. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you've got it made when you're a star, but not quite. Not all the time. It's not exactly what people think it is.
Well, and here's the other thing. I think because of the change in entertainment, whether it's music or it's TV or it's film or whatever, I think that a lot of people don't have to go through the ranks and learn their profession and work hard to get their records played and all that. They can open up a YouTube channel and they can share their music that way, and they become stars now. And I think that there's a certain group of people that just don't know how hard it is to get where they've gotten, and they're not as appreciative of the fans and the industries and stuff like that.
There's definitely a difference. I found that upcoming artists and artists who have been through the ringer and been around for quite a while tend to be more genuine, because the artists who have been around for years really have nothing to lose at that point. They've made their mark. People know who they are. They could put out a piece of junk and it would do well, because they are who they are. The up-and-comers, I met, one of my favorites was Devin Dawson. He is a country artist who's not really country, but he is one of my favorites. And I got to meet him a couple of years ago. And this guy stood there with me, who he didn't know me from Adam. He just knew that, they love when you're on the radio. So they, tend to gravitate towards radio people. But he stood there and had this whole full-on conversation with me, asking me questions about my day. And, like he genuinely cared. And I got such good vibes off of him. Up-and-coming guy, really knew how hard it is to work these days. I'm not going to name names of artists who didn't maybe have it as difficult as some of these guys. But I found that they're the ones that are really, really genuine, nice people who, just want to hang out with you. And I'll tell you one that was great was Aaron Lewis. Remember Stained?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Stained, the group back in the 90s, I think they were pretty huge, Stained, and I loved Stained. And I was really into rock and heavier music back then.
And ska.
Don't forget ska. And ska and Squirrel Nut Zippers. And
ouch, that sounds very,
very
painful.
What was their, I couldn't remember. Black Flag, I used to like all that stuff. Anyways, but I loved Aaron Lewis from Stained, and I got to see him. He switched over to country several years ago, and I got to hang out with him, like literally hang out with Aaron Lewis backstage. And now he looks like somebody you'd call like Uncle Rick. He's got the beard and he's scraggly and he's got the belly. But I'll tell you, that man can belt things out. And we
all get there at some point in our life.
That's certainly us. But he can belt out those songs. And he was so much fun to hang out with. Like literally, I got to hang out with him. He even put us on the side of the stage, which was pretty amazing. So we got to hang out on the side of the stage while he did his show, and that was a lot of fun. But you get genuine ones, and then you get some that, you can tell that they're just going through the motions. And
how did we get on this subject now? I don't remember.
I don't know. We just kind of got there, but I don't know. Anyways, it's time for weird news.
Ooh.
Weird news. Just a couple of items that I want to go through each and every week that I find that are weird, unusual.
Okay. Can I give us a little bit of a weird news intro?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. And now, weird news. All right, that's all I got.
So this one was kind of funny. I thought I know it's Valentine's Day today, but I thought I come across a lot of funny stories when I'm searching for stuff on the internet. This one is a way to literally smear your ex's name without actually causing them any harm. Have you seen lately, Todd, a lot of the zoos around the country, there was one in Australia as well, have been offering people the chance to feed cockroaches named after their ex, or dead rats named after their ex to the animals at the zoo?
Yep.
And I think it's a very creative, think outside the box, funny as hell way to, kind of put that closure in place on the ex,
My problem is that there's so many that I'd want to buy for that I'd go broke doing that.
There'd be a lot of well-fed animals in the zoos across the country, let me tell you. Well, The Humane Society Waterville area in Maine will write your ex's name on a small piece of paper and place it in one of their finest litter boxes and let their cats go to work. All in the name of Valentine's Day.
Yes, I like that.
In a news release recently, they said that their felines promise to cover your number one ex in plenty of number two. You get to choose the donation you want to give for the service, and all proceeds will benefit the animals at the shelter. Now, you know how big I am on animal rescue.
Yes.
And I love this idea. I think it's weird and funny and fun all at the same time.
Here's what we're going to do. Screw that. If you want to do that, you just give to the Humane Society. That's fine. Give your money to Sandy and I, and we will actually put the name on a piece of paper, throw it in our toilet, and then do the number two ourselves. Because, you know, we need money, right? So here's the way for us to make some cash. It'll be me and Sandy and your ex's name, and then, you know, and we'll even flush
pick
after.
Which one of us.
Or both. Why not?
Or
do it
both.
Yeah,
or both. We can
do it in
both do
stereo.
the job.
We'll
and
do it
who
in
needs
stereo.
Valentine's Day? You can do it anytime. We're available 24/7 all year long.
And we'll give you proof of the actual doing. So there will be some sort of
Lord.
photo evidence, or, you know.
That's a really easy way. Who needs Patreon? We'll just do that. We'll
Let's
just
just do
offer that. I would, you know what? That would be really scary for me if somebody emailed us or messaged us and said, go for it. I'm going to send you $10.
Listen, I would do it unless I had salsa the night before. Other than that, I would be,
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. So anyway, so that's great. And it's nice to see apparently the Humane Society is getting in on this.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty great. I love it. I love it. I love it. So again, because it's Valentine's Day, I thought we'd do a little theme for weird news this week. And I love to peruse the internet and find weird gifts to give to people. Now, I don't really, Dave's the only one I would give anything to, but after this many years together, we don't really do Valentine's Day gifts anymore. On a non-pandemic year, we might go out to dinner not on Valentine's Day though.
Right. Okay.
But we might go out to dinner or something. But this year we didn't really do much for each other. So I found 5 strange as hell Valentine's Day gifts that you can give to your personal weirdo, Todd.
All right.
You ready?
Which by the way, you are a personal weirdo in my life, so these could go to you. So be careful.
Well, wait till you hear them. I don't know. Number 1, a beautiful beard bouquet that will never wilt. The set comes with 9 rose clips that hang onto your facial hair. I could get you those. Would you wear those?
I would wear some in my beard and then some on other parts of my body.
And then and then send me a picture, because that would make my whole year. If
I'd send you a video. I'd send you a video and I'd do this like that.
Did you ever see for Christmas? Did you ever see the ones that you can hang in your beard that are like the Christmas tree ornaments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or light bulbs?
Yep.
Yeah, I love those. You can get these from a site called Firebox for only $14.99. I love that idea. And now that I'm saying this, I kind of wish I didn't tell you, because I would get you
Could have
those.
did it for me.
I know. I would have gotten you those.
Call now, $14.99. If you call right now, your second set is free. That's right. 2 sets for $14.99.
That's right. I don't even know who I'd give the other set to. I'd make you wear both. You've got a big enough beard. I make you wear both.
Yep. Or I could, I've got a hairy body, so maybe that could go someplace else.
Why do I not want to know that information? All right. Number 2, a box of, you'll appreciate this one, a box of chocolates shaped like buttholes. You can
Now wait, stop. Why would I appreciate that? I want to dive into that comment, because that doesn't make any sense. Why would I appreciate chocolates shaped like buttholes?
Those made me think of you immediately too. Did.
So I got my beard and my chocolate butthole, and then what else?
Well, because I'm always calling you an ass. So this would be perfect for you.
Sweet ass too.
So you can get your sweet ass. You can get a box of 6 from Amazon for $9.98. I'm sure they'll still have plenty left right now. If you want to get any last minute Valentine's Day gifts, you're welcome. And let's move on to number 3.
Please, yes.
You can get a pair of bread slippers, aka loafers, pun intended, for for the pun and carb loving babe in your life. They literally look like loaves of bread.
I like that.
I like that. You can
I
get
like slippers.
those from
I like
Amazon.
bread. Bam, good. I'm good with that.
You can kill two birds with one stone. You can get them from Amazon for a mere $17. Now this one, I think you'll like. A Blessed Pope themed lingerie set. So hot, it should maybe be censored. This set is giving my heart palpitations. Did you like that? Palpitations?
So I would like this. And again, what's that comment about? It's a papal, what, underwear? It's
lingerie. It's lingerie. It looks like you get a little hat, and it looks like, kind of, you're supposed to be like a
is there a
naughty
bra that
pope.
comes with it?
Yeah, it's like the whole kind of thing.
Panties?
Yeah, it's like the whole little thing. You're supposed to be the pope. It's like a naughty pope.
So I want you to picture this. You know what I look like. I want you to picture the garden in my beard. I want you to picture my chocolate butthole, the loafers on my feet, and the bra and panties along with the papal hat. Right now, I want you to picture that. And then I want to ask you once again, why would I like these gifts?
Because they're hot. And they're only, and listen, the Pope themed lingerie set is only $59.95.
Ooh.
So a mere
do I get two if I call right now? Do I get two sets?
They may throw in some chocolate buttholes.
There you go.
But the best one of all, this was my absolute favorite. A do-it-yourself casket kit for the Hank Hill level romantic gesture that lets them know that you're thinking about the future. A DIY casket on Amazon. Guess how much that costs?
I'm gonna guess $75.99.
It's $599.
Oh my God, that's not a deal.
Well, apparently it is. Do you know how much caskets cost? If you can make one yourself.
But we've talked about this. We could get regurgitated as soil. We could do that instead. We could have somebody burn us in the bonfire, for cripe's sakes. I mean,
a wicker man. But a do-it-yourself casket kit. Who would have thought? Who'd have thunk that would be something that you could actually buy? You can get anything on Amazon, obviously.
Darling, I want to show you I love you, so I built you a casket. Now, if you talk back to me, you'll be seeing the inside sooner than you expected.
That's I don't know, that either says true love will be together forever or you're going first.
Yeah.
So that 5 really weird Valentine's Day gifts that you can get for the love of your life. I'm not really big into like gifts in general, whether it's Christmas or birthday or Valentine's Day or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But if I were giving a gift, even if it was like a funny one, I don't think chocolate buttholes would be one. I don't think I would go that route. There were actually 29 of them on the website that I found on the story.
I'm glad you chose the ones that you thought I would be interested in. I really do.
I do. Those really called your name. They really called your name. I think I'm still getting the roses. Wait till Christmas. You're getting the lights. The
little Christmas balls.
Christmas ornaments. You're getting those.
I'll wear them.
Would you wear them? Would you send me a picture like that?
If I have a beard like this, I would, sure.
I hope you do. I love that beard.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I really like it. So that's weird news for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. That was pretty fun.
All right. I want to do this too. Hold on a second. I want to do the outro on that.
Okay.
That was weird news. Kind of like pigs in space. Remember that from the Muppet Show? Listen, there was nothing better than the Muppet Show in its day. You had a big time guest on. You had really talented Muppeteers. Mm-hmm. It was funny. It was entertaining. And then you had things like, Pigs in Space, or what was the hospital one? Next time you'll hear Dr. Bob say, I just love that kind of stuff.
There was that, this sounds like I'm 85, but they don't make them like they used to. When we were kids, my brothers and sisters and I, when the Muppet Show would come on, it was on at 7:00 at night. Isn't it funny how you remember this stuff? I remember watching the Disney movies on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. And Love Boat was on at 9 on Saturday nights. It's so funny the things you remember. But my brothers and sisters and I at 7:00, the Muppet Show would be on, and we would all dance around in the living room to the theme song from the Muppet Show. And it was just, I mean, those are childhood memories that you can't lose. They were just so great.
We can do total episodes talking about the Muppets and the Muppet Show and Jim Henson and all that kind of stuff.
We could.
We could. But we don't have time for that because we talk about paranormal stuff.
That's right. Just weird stuff. I like weird. I'm good with weird.
You had a little something. I wanted to bring something up that kind of ties into the casket. And last week we were talking about like, what do you want done with your body after you die and all that. And you and I both said it doesn't matter because that's not who you are. You know, your body isn't you. And as you prep for your radio shows, I prep for mine, and I actually saw a poll online about death and what might happen to us afterward. So there was an online poll, and the question is, what do you think happens after death? Okay. How many, what percentage of the poll audience do you think believes that there's an afterlife, that they believe in an afterlife? What do you think the percentage is?
The first number that comes to mind is probably about 60%.
51% say they believe there's an afterlife.
That's not bad.
20% say they don't believe there's any afterlife, which I'm surprised by that. That's a pretty high number, I think, to think that your life is done and you're toast. 29% are actually undecided. Now that I can understand.
Yep.
People not sure. Now, fearing your own death. Do you fear death? Of the polling respondents, what's the percentage of people that fear their own death?
I'm going to say that that's fairly high. I would go with maybe 70%.
Totally the opposite. 29% fear their own death.
Wow.
49% say they don't fear, and 22% say they're undecided. Now, one more statistic, and I find this all interesting because it gives you a glimpse into how people may feel about paranormal and things like that as well. Okay, so COVID-19, has it made you think more about death? Of the respondents, what's the percentage of people that say COVID-19 has made them think about death more?
This is a tough one for me, but I would say I can only go, I mean, I have a comorbidity. I have diabetes. So I am more susceptible to, you know, if I catch COVID, I could be in more trouble than someone else might be.
Right.
I would say that it probably has increased. I would say probably 60%.
42% say they've thought more about death because of COVID.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'm surprised by these numbers. I mean, I
am a little bit too. I will tell you this, that being older now, and Dave is 13 years older than me.
Here's rubbing the cradle. Come
He's
here,
an old
girl.
man.
He's
an old man. It's made me think more about it now. I think more about death than I did before. You know, when you're 20s, 30s, even 40s, you don't think about it as much. And then once you hit, you know, around 48, 49, you start to think more about it. I don't know that I fear death, but I feel a little more uncomfortable with the idea because I feel as if there is an afterlife, but I feel as if I have more things to do in this life.
And you're afraid of the afterlife because you know you're going to go straight to hell.
I am not. If anybody's going to hell, buddy, it's you.
So let me ask you this. Your mom's still alive?
Yeah.
Your dad's still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. So my dad's alive. My mom's gone. My dad's side of the family tends to live long lives. Like my grandfather died when he was about 98. My dad's now 90.
Yeah.
You know, so that side of the family tends to live long. So I could be sitting here going, well, I've got 40 more years, right? My mom's side of the family, less. So like by the time she hit, you know, by 70, I would say 75 is probably the give or take on that. So now I'm sitting here going, maybe I got 20 years left. You know, that's,
and
it
you
doesn't
better
scare me
make
though.
most of it.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like I'm in a situation like I could go today. And it would be sad, but I don't care. Like, yeah.
Right.
What? I'm going to live more of this shit that I live now?
I
That's
know.
not exciting, you know?
I know. It's true. It's true. And I don't know. I feel reincarnation. Until a couple of years ago, I wouldn't say I didn't believe reincarnation was possible, but I don't think that I gave it much credence. I didn't really have an opinion on it either way. And then things happened, and I was told a couple of things about lives that I had that sort of started to make sense and put pieces of a puzzle together. So I think about it, and I just feel like at this point in my life, there's still, and I've had really, really low points in my life, and I've had some amazingly high points in my life. I just feel like right now there's still stuff that I want to do. I'm not ready yet. I'm not. So if that could be considered kind of a fear of aging and getting old, I guess I am a little bit, because I just don't want to run out of time.
You're not going to, because there's always the next life or the next energy cycle or whatever.
Yeah,
you've got plenty of time. Don't kill yourself. Sit back, relax.
Don't kill yourself.
There's you caught that, huh?
Yeah.
You're getting quicker with my humor.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
So
that's an interesting poll. That's very interesting.
We put together these little twisted towns, and we got to know more about Utica. And in turn with that, we got to learn more about your mom.
Yep.
I got a chance to listen back to that podcast last night, actually, and just really remembered how much I enjoyed talking to her. She has her stories, and it was.
She already asked me if she could come back.
Yes.
She wants to come back. She wants to come on. So we'll let her come on.
We'll make her play match game is what we'll have her do.
Yes.
But tonight's big feature, this podcast's big feature is our Twisted Towns. It's time for one of those. And I got to pick the town. And I don't know this for a fact because we don't have any rules, but I'm assuming that both of us will pick towns that are kind of in our state or around our area, towns that we have a lot of knowledge about.
Right.
So you picked the town you live in, kind of grew up in Utica, right?
Right.
And I picked a town that I've never been to before, really. But when I kind of did some research on this town came up, and I actually have a little connection with this town and a little story to share of my own that's kind of connected with it. And actually the actual location, I have a little bit of a story to share with.
I can't wait.
I'm
very excited. When you told me, I had never heard of this town. And when you told me about it, I don't like to, regardless of whether I'm going into an investigation or we're just going to do something like this, I don't want to know too much. I don't want to go into anything with a preconceived notion. So I Googled the town name and got about 8,000 hits. And I just kept seeing haunted and ghosts and all kinds of things. So I closed the webpage and I'm like, I cannot wait for this. I'm so excited.
All right, let's do it. It is my Twisted Towns. Welcome to Twisted Towns. The small town of St. Nazianz in Wisconsin is said to be cursed by the heretic priest of the Catholic mystic cult that founded it in 1854. The town of St. Nazianz is believed to be one of the most haunted places in Wisconsin. It was founded by a rogue priest who, upon his death, is believed to have cursed the town he built. Throughout the years, natural disasters and numerous accounts of bizarre, unexplained phenomena have helped keep that legend alive. Father Ambrose Oshwald was fleeing religious persecution when he came to Wisconsin in 1854. The Roman Catholic Church had suspended him from his duties in the parish of a small town in the Black Forest of Germany due to, quote, mystical, prophetic, and heretical works, end quote. When Oshwald left, the congregation uprooted and followed him to the United States. They made their way to Wisconsin, where a 1920s newspaper article reported a divine white heifer led the group to the site that would become St. Nazianz. The community thrived there for many years. They called themselves the Association, agreeing to share everything in common and work without pay. But strange things began to happen when Oswald fell sick in 1873. A man named Anton Still stayed at Father Oswald's side while he was on his deathbed. He wrote, "A number of times I've observed that he, with closed eyes, when there was no one else in the room but I alone, would extend his hands in blessing, and then, with his hand, signal someone away. And yet I saw no one in the room." Throughout the night of February 26th, as Oswald lay dying, there were reports of mysterious pounding on the walls of his room, as well as residences throughout the town. The sound stopped when Oswald died the following morning. A judge from Manitowoc came to view Oswald's body the day before the funeral. He was taken aback by the liveliness of the corpse, warning not to bury it because Oswald was not dead. Oswald's tomb had not been completed yet, so his coffin was placed on view in a crypt beneath the high altar of the old St. Ambrose Church. The coffin was reopened on April 29th for examination before it was to be placed in the completed chamber. A priest by the name of Father Mutz, along with a group called the Oswald Sisters, noted that his body had not decayed, and there was no odor of corruption. Oswald's eyes had sunken in, but his skin had a lifelike complexion. His hair and fingernails were growing. They washed his face and noted that it served to give him an even more natural complexion. The next day, 63 days after his death, Oswald was finally sealed in his coffin and moved into the completed burial vault. The coffin was opened again October 4th, 1926, when it was being moved into a new stone mausoleum below Loretto Hill. Local health officer Dr. L.W. Gregory, as well as other members of the clergy, observed through a glass cover that Oswald's corpse was still in remarkably good shape after 53 years. His skin had become shriveled and sallow, but his body and vestments were still very much intact. The iron on his coffin had rusted and fallen away long ago. The Salvatorian priests and brothers arrived at St. Nazianz in 1896 to continue what Oswald had started. Oswald remains in the mausoleum at the base of the hill, overlooking a cemetery full of priests. Legends of a Catholic mystic cult whose secret practices drove them from their home in Germany to find St. Nazianz still persist today. So there you go. That is the story of St. Nazianz.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
And what is interesting, though, to me, that immediately, now I was born, raised Catholic. What is really interesting to me, can you see Spike trying to get up on my lap? What's really interesting to me is that there are many stories of saints with incorrupt bodies over the years.
Yeah. The story, so it starts off it's a crazy story because here's a priest and his congregation who are thrown out of the Roman Catholic Church because they say that they're doing stuff they shouldn't.
Right.
Come to America, find a place in Wisconsin, and basically create it's almost a little bit of a cult. They're living their lives differently than most people in this country at that time, where they were kind of working together as a group.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, almost like a cult.
Yeah.
And when somebody calls them the Oswald Sisters, when we're talking about nuns here, a little odd. Why would a congregation, think about any pastors or priests that you've had in your life, leaders, teachers, whatever. Would you drop your life in one country and follow them to another country in order to stay with them? It's weird.
That's very cult-like. And I will say that I've seen instances where, I mean, there is such devotion to someone who you believe is powerful. You can, all you have to do is look at the devotion, Medjugorje in the Catholic religion. People go there by the thousands upon thousands today to pay homage to saints and, you know, the Blessed Virgin Mary, and that's devotion.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that it's quite a parallel to a cult. It really is, because it runs the same kind, and people will say, oh no, it doesn't. But really, in a lot of ways, religion has some of those same ideas as does the cult. And I think that the intelligence of cult leaders, they know that, and they know what their power is. And it is very cult-like to know that you would go across an ocean to a land you've never been to and follow this priest, not knowing what you were going to get when you were there.
So Oswald dies, and what happens over a period of time is that the congregation kind of starts falling apart. Okay, the town starts falling apart because he was the one who kind of started the town. So in 1995, the Salvatorians, which were a group out of Rome, send Father Francis Jordan to come over. Now, he's a priest with that church, and he's from Germany, but he comes over. He sees the land, and they decide to buy it. So they buy the land that was owned by the church. And they built a seminary. First of all, they finished the church because the church itself had not been finished yet. They finished the church. They actually built a seminary there in 1906. So over the years, not only is this weird background there, but now there's a seminary and there's priests being churned out, you know, from the seminary. 1939 is kind of the height of the seminary. Things are going well. A lot of people are going to school there, but what happens is other seminaries start popping up in Wisconsin, and it loses its favor as the place to go to become a priest. Over the years, of course, lots of reports of abuse, not only to the young men, but also the nuns as well. Lot of abuse reports. So in 1960, they can't continue as a seminary. There's not enough money coming in to do it. They change into a co-ed school for folks that maybe are down on their luck, who need schooling.
This just seems like it's getting worse and worse to me.
It is actually. So it changes over to a co-ed school. They still run it, but it's not a seminary anymore. So again, more reports of abuse. And then in the latter part of 1960, JK Prep, it becomes JFK Prep, named after John F. Kennedy, and becomes a prep school. So it's co-ed. Again, more abuse stories. And in 1970, it closed down for good. It couldn't continue on anymore, so it was closed down. And a gentleman by the name of Jerry Slavic buys it. Just one guy buys this whole campus. It's not just the church, but there's these big, huge buildings that were seminaries, and buildings that became workshops and classrooms and all that. This whole compound is purchased by one guy.
Wow.
And he says he purchased it because the church was mainly still intact, very little decay in the church. While some of the other buildings had fallen into decay, the church is still, to this day, in very, very good shape, even though it hasn't been kept up, which is also kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have all this going on. Paranormally, a lot of people, especially in the school, in the seminary, have seen shadows, have heard voices, all the stuff you would typically hear during a paranormal investigation of a place like this.
Right.
So that has continued on after all these years. And of course, the abuse and all that went on there. It's not just men or women. but they get all sorts of audio and stuff like that out of that location. Now, I know that our group that I'm a part of looked into going there, and they just wouldn't have anything to do with us. But I do know that some groups have investigated there and just come up with some crazy stuff. But if you go to that location, lower on the hill, in front of the church, in front of this big complex, is the mausoleum of Father Oswald that still sits there today. And there's tons of reports of the town being haunted, tons of reports of people who still kind of favor the occult there because of things that have been passed down through generation to generation. It's a freaky town.
It certainly doesn't surprise me. The mausoleum, can you actually, I know that sometimes they will actually keep them on display, for lack of a better term. A lot of the saints are kept on display, the ones that have incorrupt bodies. Most saints do. Saint Bernadette, for example. Can you view him, or is he in a closed mausoleum? He's in,
I think the mausoleum door you can see through if I've seen pictures that are correct, but he's not on display, obviously. But you can see his, I believe you can see his coffin in there. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's the case.
Going back to the whole cult discussion at the beginning of this, it wouldn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all to see that there is occult activity that goes on there. There is, I mean, just based on the pure history of the place, it doesn't surprise me that there is activity throughout the town. We just worked on a case where
that's correct. We did.
There was a lot of negative energy, residual intelligent energy left over from a town that had a lot of history of the church, abuse in the church of both the nuns and of children.
Yep.
And we saw firsthand what the result of that can be. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot going on there. I mean, you've got this priest who brings these people over in a cult-like fashion. They set up essentially their own town, their own way of life, they call themselves a certain name. The association. It sounds like a really bad gangster movie, and then you've got a seminary, and then you've got a school for kids who maybe didn't get the luck of the draw in life. And that's just a lot. Now you're talking teenagers too. I mean, look at the energy that children and teenagers can generate. We talk about poltergeists. A lot of poltergeists are found in homes with teenage girls because of the energy that they can create a poltergeist.
Yep.
So you've got all of this turmoil and all of this craziness and abuse, and God only knows what was going on in that town while this priest was alive.
Right. Well, exactly.
I just can't even imagine how, I mean, I have to dig deeper into it. Now I have to, because I want to know what the heck. Can you imagine moving to St. Nazianz, Wisconsin, and living amongst all of this craziness?
Well, here's my story now of my, I guess, brush with St. Nazianz, because I mean, I growing up traveling that part of Wisconsin, I didn't really necessarily know that I was traveling through St. Nazianz, but you'd see signs, St. Nazianz 5 miles that way, St. Nazianz 6 miles that way, whatever. So the name was very familiar to me. When I was younger, as a teenager, I would travel with my sister. So we're going to go back to music and going to shows and stuff like that. I would go see an Elvis impersonator.
Okay.
Huge Elvis fan, at any rate.
Yep.
Here's why it ties in. We would drive through this part of Wisconsin to get to where we were going. And I specifically remember passing this location and looking off in the distance and seeing, I used to call it the nunnery because I didn't realize it was a seminary. And the reason why I called it the nunnery was because the feelings that I got from that location had to do with nuns.
Wow.
And the visualization that came to me involved abuse. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I thought that I was creating a movie in my head. I had a whole freaking plot line. But in retrospect, I think I was actually picking up on some of the odd energy there and realizing the abuse that went on, not only with the nuns, but the students as well. And I mean, I can't tell you anything specific that went on there. I can just tell you in general, the energy of that location is spooky as fuck.
I would love to go check that out. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because a lot of times, and you know that I know that you're more than just an empath. You're a very strong empath. You're
I'm
a
a
healer
special
empath.
empath. That's what
You're
I
very
am.
special. You're
For
very special,
$15.99
Todd.
right now, I'll tell you what you're thinking.
But I also think that you are claircognizant as
Claire
well.
Huxtable? Am I
You're
Claire
not
Huxtable?
Claire Huxtable. You're claircognizant.
Damn. I think she had a lot of money.
She
Claire
was
Huxtable.
great. She was great. But I do think that, and that what you just described is what happens to me. I sometimes think I have a movie in my head because things will just come to me out of the blue, and I can totally relate to that. And I can almost feel your feelings of driving by and having all of that going on in your head. It's freaky.
And I can specifically remember one time, it was the fall of the year, which we're going to be talking about spooky movies in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than a fall setting to spook you up. And it was fall and the sun was setting. And I remember seeing the building, and I remember seeing the cross on the top of the building way off in the frickin' distance, because it's not very close to the actual road we were on. You could see it back behind the trees. And just that feeling of fear and sadness and just this underlying bubbling of, I don't know. It was just like, I want to say evil, but I mean, that's really what I got out of it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I thought I was just coming up with a movie plot in my mind. And I really feel now, looking back on it, that's not what was going on. I was actually kind of picking up on some of the stuff that went on there.
I don't think you were. I think subconsciously you were taking all of the pieces that were coming to you and putting them together. And that's pretty extraordinary. That's quite a story.
There's actually a really great website. If you want more information on St. Nazianz, they've actually got a little video where they interview people about the location and about the history. If you go to cultofweird.com and look up St. Nazianz, it's Nazians. A great little video there that you should check out if you want more information about our twisted town this week.
And that's a great point. That's a great point, because one of the reasons we do this is to kind of enlighten everyone and show them the other side of towns and encourage you to go look it up and find out more information for yourself. There's a lot of towns and cities out there that have this beautiful, idyllic reputation, but if you dig a little bit, and that's what we want you to do, is dig and think about these things and find out for yourself the other side of everything. It's pretty chilling, and it's very enlightening, and it's just really interesting. That's why I love Twisted Towns. It's such a cool thing, a cool idea to kind of bring to light.
Well, you think of the Chicagos and the New Yorks and that stuff went down, right? Because it's a bigger city. You don't expect that some of this stuff happened in smaller towns. And I know I've already got some towns in mind of what I want to share in the next couple of episodes of that. But I'm gonna reach out to a town that may or may not be very well known, but the character that came out of it is, I'm not going to say who the character is, but I will tell you that the next town I'm going to work on is a town called Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Ooh.
And somebody who's very, very well known for being creepy as hell came from there. So that'll be my next one.
I can't wait. And I think I'm going to do a Twisted Towns on a little area just north of Utica, New York, where there was a famous murder many, many years ago. I think it was in the 1960s, the Bernard Hatch murders. And there's also some paranormal stories that go along with it too.
Mm-hmm.
And the area is very well known for just being a beautiful upstate central New York countryside town, but there's a lot that goes on there behind the scenes. So that'll be an interesting one too. I can't wait.
Well, I'm pumped up for it. I will tell you that over here on my desk, I have a coffee that I've been drinking.
Right.
I have a bottle of soda that I've finished.
Mm-hmm.
I have a McDonald's Diet Coke that I finished. And I've got a sparkling water that I'm currently working on.
I've got one drink.
Well, here's my point. I'm going to pee pretty soon. So it's probably a good time to say, bye-bye.
Bye. So you can find us on any of the platforms that you find your podcasts at, Audible, Spotify, any of them. We will be up on Patreon, hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, within the next week or so. So we would love to have you come and support us. We can't do it without you. He's drinking to make himself pee faster. I don't even know what's going on right now. So thank you to everybody for continuing to support us. Next week, we are going to talk about some of the scariest movies that affected our lives.
I can't wait. Can I do one of the lines? Do you know what she did? Your blanking daughter?
Yeah, why do you not blank it when you tell me these things? Creepster, creep me out. You're a creep. All right. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.